All right. Thank you so much, guys. This is incredible. I grew up in El Cajon. Anders, where are you at? I know you love going there. Grew up in La Mesa and El Cajon. Moved here when I was 6 from Vegas. Like you guys saw, my father was a jazz musician, road conductor for Nat Cole. Met my mom. She was singing background for Nat. Nat King Cole died, and throat cancer. And my father moved from New York to Vegas and decided to start being a talent manager. And so he managed acts up and down the Strip for about the next 10 or 15 years. And when I came along, we moved to San Diego. My mother's mom started a spiritual center. And so we moved to support her. And so my father basically raised me like a talent manager would raise a client. I didn't know it at the time. I was just a kid, doing my thing. But the amount of strategy that my father was implementing in my young baseball career was crazy looking back. And God bless him, my father's been gone for, 10, 12 years. My mother's 15. So I know they're here tonight smiling. But I got a little story about the courage that my father had to tell baseball scouts what he believed in me. And this is to all you fathers out there. The way that we can believe in our kids can really change their lives. And so I got drafted. I was only throwing 81 in high school. And I got drafted by the Seattle Mariners. There was a scout named Craig Weissman. And Craig said, "Will you sign for 8th round money, Barry?" And back then, 8th round money was about $50,000. 50,000. My father said, "No, Craig, that's not going to work. We think Barry can be the #1 pick in the draft if he goes to school and matures." Craig, like every other scout, looked at him like, "Okay, Joe, sure." And but Craig said, "We want to draft Barry late so I can have the rights to work with Barry." And the Mariners took me in the 59th round so that Craig could have the okay from the organization to work with me. And he would come down. I lived in La Mesa, and we would work out at Grossmont Junior College. And I had been getting trained by the late, great Randy Jones for many years. I had kind of a big overhand kind of motion, had this big curveball. Things were just a little too kind of big, right? Not as compact, not as tight. My hip rotation wasn't great. Of course, I didn't even know what that was back then. All you guys these days get the advantage of knowing what hip rotation is. So Craig worked with me, and in the next 8-10 months, I gained 12 miles per hour. So I went from 81 and maybe 81 miles an hour the June of 96 to January of 97. I was topping out at 93, 94, pitching for UC Santa Barbara, and that was at ASU that night. And so much of that goes to Craig Weissman. And looking back, I probably should have called Craig and said, "Craig, I'm coming to town. You should come sit at our table." Forgot to do that. I got 4 young kids. We got a lot going on, man. So Craig, you're probably just in La Costa getting ready for bed right now, but you should be at that table right now because you had so much to do with this. So I got a little story though, guys. I've only worn, these are the World Series rings. I'm kind of the guy that was like more understated. I don't really ever get these out. I've only gotten them out one time in all of the time that I've had them. And I have a little story though, because I know there's a lot of amazing athletes, and it's just been awesome to see all these young athletes come up here. Jeremy, your story is incredible as well. So I got 2 rings, okay? So I signed with the Giants in 2007, signed this 7-year contract, 126, big bucks, 126 million big bucks. Biggest contract ever, right, to that point. One thing looking back, I did not have a spiritual foundation to shoulder the pressure that I was up against, okay? I was raised kind of spiritual. Felt like it was all up to me. Felt like it was like, my will, like if I can just have the willpower and do it, then I can do anything, right? But there was never anything about what's God's will for my life, right? Didn't really know what that was. So when things are going great, it's awesome. It's awesome when you're your own God. When things turn upside down, kind of need something else because this doesn't work anymore. And so San Francisco is really what happened to me through those years. That's a representation of what happened. And so 2007, I signed to come be the new Barry, they said. We want you to be the new Barry. I was like, those are big shoes to fill. I got to play 1 year with Barry Bonds, incredible. And so the general manager said, why don't you tattoo that number 126 right on your forehead, because the fans are never going to see you as anything other than that number again. I was like, first day of the contract, man, this is pretty terrifying, honestly. And so for the next 4 years, I struggled. I had a hard time. I put way too much pressure on myself. I was pitching for approval. I was pitching for love. I was pitching for validation. All the things that I probably should have gotten from somewhere else. The world's going to let you down, guys, especially all you young athletes out there. The world is going to let you down. So if you're doing anything for anyone, it's probably not going to pan out long term. And so what happened in 2010, which is this ring right here, the last day of the season, we clinched, we beat the Padres. All due respect. Hey, I didn't do it. I tried the day before and got my butt kicked, so good job. But we clinched the West in 2010. I was getting paid, I think, $18 million that year. I think the next highest paid player was like half that or less. And Bruce Bochy called me in after we did our victory lap. And I had a horrible 2 or 3 months going into that. Started out that year on fire. And just, again, pressure, started to try to pitch for results, right? And Bruce called me in, he said, Barry, this is the hardest thing I've ever done in my whole managerial career. We don't have room for you on the playoff roster. We got to go with our top 4 guys. Now, again, definitely the highest paid player on the team, one of the top players, highest paid in the league, wasn't good enough to be on the playoff roster. So he said, why don't you just get out of here? You can meet us in spring training next year. Go back home to LA. We'll see you next year. And I was like, this is surreal, okay. So I had to talk him into letting me stay with the team to just like work out in case somebody got hurt, and then I could be the insurance policy. He's like, that's a great idea. Why don't you do that? Okay, so he sent me down to the dugout. Of course, there was a swarm of media, microphones and cameras in my face, like, how do you feel? It was like one of the hardest days of my life, for sure. So I worked out every day, came to the field every day, sunglasses on, headphones, all the concession people like down in the kind of the bowels of the stadium, right? I'm walking by them. I'm judging myself so hard, feeling like they're judging me, I'm just fully in shame. End up secretly rooting against my team through all 3 rounds of the playoffs because my ego was literally like so panicked. How could this happen, right? And ended up writing a book about my spiritual journey and really coming clean with the fact that I was actually rooting against my own team. So I got to watch my whole team win the World Series without me. I got to go through 3 celebrations, not be a part of it. Yes, you could say that's very selfish, Barry, to not feel so happy for your teammates, but it was also just a deep pit of shame that I was in. So we won the World Series. I watched the whole thing, went back to LA, checked into like 12-step for codependency. I don't know if you guys know what codependency is. It's when you're so obsessed with what your partner, your relationship, people around you think about you. You're trying to take care of everyone's needs. And that is actually what led me. The second step of codependency was willing to accept that there's a power greater than me that could restore me my sanity. Because step 1 was admitted that my life was unmanageable and that I'm power over other people's opinions. That was certainly true. So step 2 was like, okay, right? Growing up in a spiritual background, certainly a grandmother that started a spiritual center, this was a big thing. Admitted there's a power greater than me that can restore my sanity. This is not about me anymore. And so over the next year or 2, cultivated that idea. 2011, gave my life to Christ, found a relationship with God, found something that could just give me some instructions on how to live, because I'd been writing the playbook myself the whole time. And it was great for a while, Cy Youngs and all that fun stuff. But eventually, it tanked. It was not sustainable. So this 2010 ring, something I was very ashamed of for a very long time. That's that. And I know I'm getting long-winded, I'm sorry. The 2012 ring. The 2012 ring was the redemption story, okay? 2 years later, we found ourselves back in the playoffs after winning the World Series in 10. I got a chance to go pitch. First round of the playoffs in Cincinnati, Barry, game 3. go pitch out there. I was like, it's my first playoff game as a Giant. I'm in year 6 of my contract. I really have to prove to everyone now, and all the fear of proving myself came back. Did poorly. Tim Lincecum came in, just cleaned up, bailed me out. We somehow got through that round. Madison Bumgarner, who was a beast of a pitcher, was kind of overthinking his mechanics. So instead of pitching him in that next round, Bruce Bochy said, we're going to sit Madison down because, as you all athletes know, when you start overthinking your physical, mechanical, technical, that's about the worst thing we can do, right? So I got a chance to pitch in Game 5 in St. Louis, and that game was not for me anymore. That game was for God. I said, I surrender. I don't care what happens. I'm willing to go out there and give up 10 runs. If I look like the biggest fool on the planet and I can never set foot in the city of San Francisco again, which was almost already true, that's fine. I just want to honor where these gifts came from, where the curveball came from, where all these things came from, because I used to take credit for all of that. And I went out there, completely surrendered. I'm willing to lose. It wasn't like I'm going to kill you, I'm going to dominate you, all the energy that got me the Cy Young. It was I'm in full honor and glory of, where I got this curveball from, where I got this talent. We ended up going out there, kicking their butt. We shocked, everyone was like, holy crap, Zito just beat St. Louis throwing 84 in St. Louis? What, right? Everyone was shocked. I was shocked. The next 2 games, we had so much momentum. We went back, they went to San Francisco. We beat them next 2. Then we swept, Detroit in the World Series. I actually got a base hit off Verlander in the World Series. That was the coolest thing I've ever done in my life. I mean, pitching is cool, but when the guy can hit your bat at 97 and you're like, huh? Oh, base hit, woo, right, that is really fun. So this is the redemptive ring, and this is the ring I was very ashamed of, and you would think that the ring that I'd be like, oh yeah, man, I earned this one, man, I pitched us, I saved our whole season with 1 game, we were gonna go home if I lost, I saved it, and then game 1 of the World Series, beat Verlander, yeah. But this is the ring that actually gave me the ability to have peace in my heart, to have tools from knowing that I'm okay and I don't need to win anyone's approval anymore in my life. And that is ultimate freedom, and that is sustainable, right? So now I carry that into everything I do. So especially to all you athletes out there, I just want to remind you guys that it may feel great when you're getting all the glory, but if you're going to take all the credit, you better be prepared to take the blame. And it's going to be hard, okay? I can promise you that. I want to thank the Sports Association and the Breitbard Hall of Fame for this amazing honor. My wife and kids have already gone to bed. There they are, honey. We're trying to keep them on Nashville time because they have school coming up. But we're videoing this, so hopefully they'll see that I said thank you to them, even though they're not there. Thank you guys for this honor. This is incredible. I am so happy to be in the same conversation as my hero, Tony Gwynn, Junior Seau, some of the legends of San Diego. It's been an incredible experience seeing everybody here today. And again, thank you so much, guys.